Hello there, good evening. Welcome to News 90 on Metro Television. My name is Bridget Otu. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. The headlines tonight. And you've seen President Ekufuado appoint Member of Parliament for Wale Lariba Zuwaira Abudu as Minister Designate for Gender, Children and Social Protection. We'll read more of the statement that was issued a while ago. Also in the headlines tonight, striking gas tanker drivers vow to sustain their strike until their demands for improved conditions of service are addressed. We'll bring you more of what the NPA is saying in respect of the strike. National Communications Authority justifies imposition of 5 cedi charge for the SIM card re-registration self-up. An Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, raises red flags over the sudden jump in the cost of relocation of the Ameri power plant. And in news from elsewhere, at least 4 people have died during protest over the cost of electricity in a South African township. We have details of these stories and more for the next 60 minutes. Do join us online and on air. Hello again, and remember we're streaming on Twitter at Metro TV GH. If you're on Facebook, it's at News Night and at Metro TV Ghana. Our very first story tonight, and President Ekufuado has appointed Lariba Zuwaira Abudu, the Member of Parliament for Wale as Minister Designate for Gender, Children and Social Protection. Her appointment comes days after the Minister Sarah Adwoa Safo was relieved of her duties following her long absence from the ministry. Then Sanitation Minister Cecilia Abenadapa was tasked to handle the affairs of the Gender Ministry in the absence of the Dom Kwabenya MP. And until her appointment, Lariba Zuwaira Abudu was the Deputy Minister for the Gender Ministry. Meanwhile, MP for Kwabre East, Francisca Oting-Mensah, has been nominated as the Deputy Minister Designate for Gender, Children and Social Protection. So this is a story that we'll definitely be following and see what happens next. And what becomes of the Dom Kwabenya, and especially what becomes of the seat in question. To a headline story that's dominated headlines across the country, and the Tanker Drivers Association says they will not go back to work until their concerns are addressed. Chairman of the Bulk Tanker Drivers Union, Clement Ampedu, said efforts to meet the Energy Minister to have their issues resolved has yielded no results.
The various tanker yards, including the main depot near Bone Barrier in Tema, has been deserted. Some of the vehicles were parked at unusual locations as the drivers wait patiently to have their concerns addressed. Chairman of the Bulk Tanker Drivers Union, Clement Ampedu, said attempts to get the appropriate authorities to have their issues resolved are proven futile.
No official has had a meeting with us. As at 12 noon, no one has addressed our challenge. No one should circulate any news that officials have had meetings with us.
Sit down, striking.
He admitted their decision is already affecting livelihoods and businesses, but was quick to add that it is the only way to press home their demands.
As for the job, our survival is in the hands of God. Even if it will take a month or 2, we will continue with the strike.
Clement Ampedu insists the strike will continue until they reach a mutual agreement with the authorities.
The whole Ghana.
We are still on strike in the whole of Ghana. We just don't want ours to be chaotic but peaceful, so we are still in the strike action.
yɛmfa car nsi kwan ɛna yɛnyɛ bibi bɔne bi ayɛ deɛ ne sɛ yɛte yɛfie.
We'll go on the line and engage Mohammed Kudus, but before that, some liquefied petroleum gas outlets are complying with a sit-down strike by the Fuel Tanker Drivers Association, while others are still going about their usual business. And obviously, this has created some sort of mixed feeling for consumers of LPG, and they are calling on government to intervene urgently to ease the pressure on the few working.
Yesterday, 1st August, gas tanker drivers announced that they're having a sit-down strike. Therefore, they will not be transporting gas from their various places to the various gas filling stations. This is my first stop at a filling station, and this is the signpost I see here. Sorry, we have closed. But let's find out more from the branch manager if maybe it's due to a fault. That's the reason why they have closed, or they are not getting gas at all. Why have you closed down?
We have not closed. We are on strike. There's a gas, but we're on strike. That's why.
Okay. Are your tanks filled with gas?
Yeah, we have gas. We have a lot of gas.
Okay. So what do you
strike? That's why we are not selling. But I have a gas. Okay. Yeah.
Are you not losing out?
We are losing, but what can we do? We only appeal to government to at least assist what demand that we want. That's all.
Okay. So how many people have been here today?
Well, a lot. A lot have been here. But because we are in strike, we can't sell for them. So they are, as you can see, there's nobody here. Okay. They will come in, but we can't sell. So they also appeal to the government to at least come to our aid and help us our demand, so that we can also help them with their domestic business.
When are you expecting this to end?
I can't say.
gas, and then so remember gas, make our macaron, cacano, so Costco. Maybe I was almost so homo. Until a yakaka. Yes, sir, government is a beer gas for no munamo.
I have been roaming to get gas, but every attempt has failed. I will have to go for charcoal instead, since there is no gas. I have been roaming the whole of Tema Township, but had no gas to purchase. My friend directed me here, yet we didn't get some as well.
Gas filling station, the situation is different. There is gas here, and Express is serving their customers.
Okay, so as for yesterday, I didn't hear the news, so I came to check today. So I went to CAT, which is Trinity Oil, and they were not available, so I came here and to school over there.
Bifi, Asalibuche, Afamwa Bessi.
I am coming all the way from Ashalibutre to Tesano. No filling station had gas till I was directed here in Tesano.
And that was my colleague Alberta there reporting. And we'll go on the phone lines and speak to the communications manager of the National Petroleum Authority, Mohammed Abdul Kudus. A very good evening, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening, Bridget.
Right, so we understand there was supposed to be a meeting scheduled. Unfortunately, it did not come on. Could you share why that happened?
Thank you very much. Let me say good evening to you. Good evening to your cherished viewers this evening. Okay, so we picked up the signals of the intended strike on Friday, that they scheduled the strike to commence. That was yesterday, Monday. Right. So immediately over the weekend, we tried to get in touch with their leadership so we could come to the discussions table and be able to give and take and find a solution to the reasons for which they wanted to go on strike. Regrettably, they couldn't make it, and the communication they gave to us was that they had the notice very short, and they had planned executive committee meeting, and that was for the Tanker Drivers Association. The LPG Marketers Association also said that they had the notice very short, and so they couldn't honor the meeting. So
it says the association that did not honor, it's not the ministry that did not yield to their request to meeting them. That's what you're saying?
Oh, yeah. As for the ministry and then the leadership of National Petroleum Authority had actually settled into the meeting room, and I'd waited for hours, and the meeting never happened.
Right, so I listened to the Energy Minister as well, Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, who did say that Cabinet would meet and tomorrow a statement could be issued. Could you share what would be contained in this?
I certainly would not be able, because I'm not a member of Cabinet, and I will not be able to speak directly to that. But I heard the Minister allude to something like that when he appeared on a sister station, and I spoke.
Hello, Mohammed. Unfortunately, Mohammed's line has dropped. I would want to find out more from him. We'll try and reconnect with him. But we're still staying on this because it's such an important commodity. And many gas filling stations across northern region have been closed down due to the sit-down strike by the tanker driver unions. And we'll take you there and have a look at what's happening.
Out of 6 filling stations visited by Metro News, only one was still having gas, with the manager saying it may take them for up to a week. He, however, called on government and other relevant stakeholders to engage the driver unions to rescind their decision.
My plea to the government is that they should try to attend to the needs of the drivers who are on strike, or listen to all their grievances. And I learned the OMCs have also joined. So government should all just try to hit whatever they said and then know how to attend to them.
Metro News also spoke to some frustrated commercial drivers on the streets of Tamale who said they have had to park their vehicles.
Gas filling station
I have visited 4 stations, but there is no gas available. So we are going to park our cars because we can't do anything without the gas.
Some of the drivers who had also gathered at the Al Bayan gas station complained of the long queues they have to join in order to get gas. They are therefore asking government to immediately intervene.
Nobody there to say if we have closed or come tomorrow, maybe this why we are not here. I just went there with my fuel there, come back again. No gas. I have to come to Vitin and look for gas to buy for my car because I have to be at the website. Now I'm supposed to be at the website. I'm looking for gas.
Price of gas of late. I mean, it has been going so high that we, the householders, have been, with the minimum income, sometimes it's difficult to afford. Yeah, I think that is what we are going through right now.
And the National Communications Authority says the 5 Ghana cedis charged for the SIM card re-registration self-app would be used to pay for the maintenance cost of the app. Speaking to my colleague Abdullah Mohammed Inakra, Director of Consumer and Corporate Affairs of the NCA, Nana Dufie Bedu, said will not respond directly to the call to get approval from Parliament for the charge, but said the authority remains committed to ensuring SIM cards are linked to Ghana cards.
As part of efforts to improve on the registration of SIM cards, the Communications Ministry announced the introduction of a self-service application for SIM card registration earmarked to begin on August 2nd, 2022. Communications Minister Esla Osu Ekufo, however, disclosed it will come at a cost of 5 cedi for users.
Each registration via the app will be subject to a 5 cedi surcharge. You will pay 5 cedis to register yourself on the SIM registration app. Non-resident Ghanaians who do not have the Ghana card can use their passports to complete the process via the app, but will be required to update their details with the Ghana card once they acquire it.
This has generated debate, and though Ghanaians have accepted the extension of the period for registration, the 5 Ghana cedis charge has been criticized by many. MP for Ningo Pram Pram and Deputy Ranking Member on Parliament's Communications Committee, Sam George, insists the Communications Ministry must seek approval from Parliament before going ahead to charge for the self-use app for SIM registration. According to him, the minority will soon take on the ministry and the NCA for failure to seek approval under the Fees and Charges Act.
Well, any service that runs on the back of a government's operations, clearly the law is clear. If it's not a private operation, it's collection of government revenue or a government service. The SIM registration is a government service by the Ministry of Communications and NCA. And so the cost of that app should be captured by the Fees and Charges Act. And so clearly it should have come to Parliament. When Parliament comes, we'll definitely take the necessary steps and demand that the minister is guided. And we even use this platform to urge the minister, who is a member of Parliament and a lawyer and knows what is right, to do what is right.
Despite declining to respond directly to Sam George, the Director of Consumer and Corporate Affairs at NCA, Nana Defie Bedu, said the 5 cedi amount will be used to service the maintenance of the app.
Let me stress here again that it is purely optional. The telcos are still registering people. In fact, as soon as the minister announced the extension, the deadline extension from yesterday, there were no queues again at the MNOs. The fee for the 5 cedis for use of the self-service app is actually to be used for the development servicing of the app.
She also emphasized that her outfit will continue to work with the telecos in realizing the ultimate goal of getting Ghanaians to link their SIM cards with the Ghana card.
You're live here on News Night on Metro Television. We're taking our very first big, but still to come, we're looking at tax exemptions for printing companies.
My appeal to government is to consider giving them some form of tax relief in terms of importation of their. Oh, it makes
Welcome back to News Night here on Metro Television, streaming live on Facebook at Metro TV Ghana and at News Night, and on Twitter at Metro TV GH. Chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education, Kwabena Amankwa Isiama, has called on government to subsidize the raw materials used by local printing companies in Ghana. This, he says, will help them produce books at a cheaper cost. And he made this known when the committee visited Appointed Time Printing Limited here in Accra.
In June 2022, the government, through the Ministry of Education, contracted 5 local printing firms, including Appointed Time Printing Limited, to print government textbooks for basic schools across the country. This came on the back of a 3-year delay in printing the books after implementing the new curriculum. The Parliamentary Select Committee's visit to Appointed Time Printing Limited was to inspect the level of work done on the books after the company supplied 600,000 of the 800,000 books given to them ahead of the August 27 deadline.
We look out for the material. If the material is of the same quality, again we look out to see if what they have published already and what is left to be published will let them meet the deadline, which I think they have. They have already published 600,000 books and they are left with 200,000. Considering the fact that they started from 1st June and they are to deliver on the 27th, we are confident that they will finish by then. They are even saying that they will finish before time.
The chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education, after inspecting the facility, appealed to government to subsidize the raw materials used by local printing companies in the country. This, he says, is to enable them provide the textbooks at a cheaper cost.
My appeal to government is to consider giving them some form of tax relief in terms of importation of their. Oh, it makes their books a little bit costly and it's expensive than those that come from China and India because they don't pay anything at all when they bring them in their finished products.
General Manager of Appointed Time Limited, Jacqueline Afful, on her part, assured they will complete the work before the deadline and produce the textbooks at a high quality standard.
When it comes to delivery, we believe that investment is key. Investment is equipment, the caliber of people, and improving on the knowledge of the staff, which we have constantly done. So for where we have come from as a company, quality is very, very prime to us. And I think that it is one of those that has still kept us around for this very long time. We don't need to import textbooks from abroad. It can be done right here, published right by us, and that is what we have done. So we will plead that we get more jobs to do as printing presses in the country.
She appealed to government to always patronize the services of Ghanaian printing companies as they have the capacity to deliver any amount of books needed for the country.
Right, and we'll continue with the rest of our stories here on Metro Television. We're streaming on Twitter, it's at Metro TV GH, and if you're on Facebook, it's at Newsnight and at Metro TV Ghana. And the Techiman South constituency chair of the NDC and 3 other persons have been granted bail by the Techiman Circuit Court. We'll bring you that story a bit later on. But for now, though, a mental health practitioner has related a growing number of mentally challenged persons on the streets to the country's negligence in taking mental health care seriously. According to Dr. Susan Sefa, though this is a global issue, Ghana has done little to care for such persons.
Every street, sometimes quietly doing their own things, while others talk to themselves loudly, a thing many have described as worrying and a security threat. Accra, the country's capital, is littered with hundreds of mentally challenged persons. Many have expressed concern, calling for attention for these unfortunate ones.
In the past, when I see mad people, I feel they are minding their business. And so I'm not really worried. But what happened on Monday was very alarming.
We get scared when they get closer to us, and sometimes we don't know if we should run or stay. We are therefore pleading with government to work on this matter.
Approaching me, I get alarmed. I am pleading with the government to keep them at the appropriate places.
The call to take these people from the street has become necessary following the recent smashing to death with a stone of a young man at Circle in Accra by a mentally retarded woman. A special psychiatrist at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital exposed the length at which the country has gone with care for mental health persons.
Less than 1% of the health funds allocated to health comes to mental health, and even the time of release sometimes is an issue. And so even though we get monies to care for persons that have these challenges, it is not enough to give all out the services that we are supposed to give to these persons, and so we cannot reach out as much as we can because of the funding issues when it comes to mental health. We can't have patients coming without the necessary support. Otherwise, then we would run down. The facility would have to shut down because you can't get people in the facility when you have nothing to take care of them. Okay, so that is what it is now.
She also touched on how to deal with these persons in situation that looks threatening to one's safety.
When you identify that one personality has changed and is affecting the person's function and productivity, then it calls for concern. Then there should be a way that the person would get the attention of a doctor or a psychiatrist. But in that instance, when it's an emergency, it is allowed. You can take in the patient, bring the patient to the facility, and then we assess as doctors. And then we can admit the patient. If the patient is indeed a person who has a mental health challenge, then we can admit the patient under the certificate of urgency over a period of 72 hours for us to work.
And 3 persons are receiving treatments at the Kasor Central Market following a clash between 2 youth groups over an alleged molestation of a girlfriend of one of the members of the groups. Meanwhile, the Kasor police has arrested 4 suspects who are all foreigners over the violent clash. And my colleague Akwesi Ado has more.
The arrested suspects, all Nigerians, were said to have invaded a community known as Kwamete, wielding a gun and machete over alleged molestation of a female believed to be the girlfriend of one of the Nigerians by a member of the community. The invasion resulted in the injury of 3 persons who are currently on admission at the Central Kaswa Clinic, a private health facility. Here are some members of the community speaking to the media.
While fighting, they cut themselves with knives. So onlookers tried to stop them. But the leader of the Nigerian community came with a gun and the people started running before the arrival of the police.
We could not sleep after the incident. We need security in this community.
Meanwhile, a brother of the victims, Inusa Abubakar, said one of the victims had his ear nearly chopped off, while others also sustained several machete wounds.
My brothers
and his friends were attacked by the Nigerian guys and have been wounded so badly.
Meanwhile, Assemblyman for Jumen's Bomete electoral area, Mohammed Kobna Ali, wants police to intensify patrols in the area to ensure the reduction of crime.
There's a young opposite for me, Bamafono, I'm a boost to a Jumanum. Quite a confono, maybe one and say, young street light, baby, now and your day. And so, baby, yakin. I was anxious to Bobo Quenina, Anka by now. I think, say, I bet your criminality now. And
we're staying in that enclave and a rather sad story as a 37-year-old evangelist, Frederick Darkon, is in the grips of the Gomua Nyanyano police in the central region for allegedly sodomizing a 15-year-old boy. The victim accuses the evangelist of abusing him for many years. Akwesiado again reports on this.
According to the victim, the suspect, now in police custody at Gomua Nyanyano in the Gomua State of the Central Region, subjected him to continuous sodomy. Frederick Darkon, a self-styled evangelist, had sought permission from parents of the victim to live with him, but is later reported to have subjected the victim to sexual abuse under the guise of cleansing him from a spiritual problem. According to the victim, he was threatened by Fred not to inform anyone or else he will kill him. The victim, however, opened up to his mother after he fell ill. Here is the victim speaking to Metro News.
The evangelist said he needed to do spiritual cleansing because, according to him, during my young age, my dad frequently took me to work and left me in the care of a particular woman. And he believes the woman has tampered with my destiny, hence the need of the spiritual cleansing. I stayed with him for 3 months and he performed the cleansing daily. The process included him vomiting and urinating in a bucket and asking me to throw away.
Mother of the victim, Millicent Yeboah, narrated how the incident occurred. She wants the police to conduct thorough investigations into the matter and have the perpetrator punished for the offense.
My son's father took him for cleansing, and I did not know about it. But my son was always sick, and I tried severally to find a cure to his sickness, but to no avail. It was then my son's father told me about the spiritual cleansing. We then reported the issue to the police. I want them to investigate the matter. We need justice.
Police reported a young report. The suspect, Frederick Darkon, is expected to appear before the Ofako Circuit Court on Wednesday, August 3, 2022.
And healthcare workers are worried about the lack of a system that ensures new mothers are able to breastfeed their babies while working. As part of activities marking Breastfeeding Week, the Ghana National Association of Registered Nurses is urging workplaces to have facilities that encourage natural breastfeeding.
Breastfeeding is encouraged to ensure healthy babies. Science has advised some standard period for breastfeeding to enable babies grow well. Health experts, however, say a weak support system for breastfeeding usually leads to inclusion of artificial formulas in babies' diet. Though formulas may be replacement for unavailable mothers, healthcare professionals are worried this is not healthy for new babies.
We know that the first age of a neonate, a baby born, the first 6 months is very, very delicate to them. Around that time, they can suffer any sudden infant death. And all of these things are because some of them are lacking breast milk. Because breast milk have all the components to protect and then keep them away from infections and all of these sudden infant deaths. So the moment they don't do it properly, you see, you do it in the first week and then you start mixing food. It affects the babies, their digestive system, it affects their cognitive skills.
Step up for breastfeeding, education and support. The theme for this year's Breastfeeding Week celebration is expected to intensify education on the importance of breastfeeding. It is also to get support for breastfeeding mothers. The National Association of Registered Midwives, as part of the Breastfeeding Week, is advocating a conducive environment for breastfeeding moms at their workplaces. The association says this will improve the level of concentration of new mothers and increase productivity.
You see, the government also have to come in, and their support is looking into it and then creating nurseries at working areas so that mothers who go to work can go on breastfeeding break, go and feed the babies, and then they can continue with their work. Actually, when you read the labor law that talks about maternity leave, it actually stresses whereby a mother is supposed to break for breastfeeding. An hour or two is given to a mother. But in our setup, because we don't have the nurseries to help us in doing all of that, we leave the babies in the house.
Anita Asamoah, a public health advocate, said research has proven that babies who are well breastfed are not at risk of obesity or hypertension. She also appealed to new mothers to breastfeed regardless of the myth attached to breastfeeding.
Children that are well breastfed, they are not at risk of obesity. So, and if a child doesn't have obesity, the risk of getting maybe hypertension, being diabetic, when they grow up is very, very low, except maybe it's in the family, you get it. So I would just want to implore the women, motivate them, advise them to keep to breastfeeding.
The first week of August is usually set aside to celebrate and intensify the importance of breastfeeding among new mothers.
And breast milk still remains the healthiest baby food. Yeah, so we're taking a break. When we come back, we'll look at a story from the African Center for Energy Policy, and they are accusing government of inflating the relocation of the Ameri plant to Kumasi. We'll be back to talk Ameri.
Welcome back to News Night live on Metro TV. My name is Winston Taki. And now to a first business story. The Africa Center of Energy Policy has revealed that the actual cost of the relocation of the Ameri power plant from Accra to Kumasi has been increased by 40%, ending up to $71.6 million. This according to ASEP, will harm the already high debt situation of the energy sector.
The $510 million build, own, operate and transfer agreement between Ameri Energy and the government of Ghana for installing 10 new GETM 2500 plus aeroderivative gas turbines and all related equipment ended in December 2021. The contract was scheduled to terminate in 2020 after 5 years post the recovery of investment by Ameri. However, following a 2018 renegotiations, the fiscal tenure of the contract was extended for an additional year. According to the policy lead in petroleum and conventional energy at the Africa Center for Energy Policy, Kojo Yauche, the relocation plan of the Ameri plant was mere negligence on the part of the government.
The government intends to relocate the Ameri plant and locate new plants. That is another 240 megawatts car power, 300 megawatts AXA, and 80 megawatt VRA plants in the face of the constant rhetoric of excess capacity to Kumasi with the expectation of stabilizing the power supply. ASEP has raised concerns over the propriety of this decision, especially against the option of retooling the transmission infrastructure to achieve the same objective.
He added that the actual cost of the relocation has been inflated by 40%.
The Ministry of Energy has advanced negotiations with Miscellaneous to relocate and install the Ameri plant from Abuazi to Kumasi with a firmed contract price of $35.6 million. The contract also grants the operation and maintenance to Miscellaneous for 3 years at a cost of $36 million, bringing the total cost of the relocation and maintenance of the plant to $71.6 million, barring any unforeseen upward adjustments. ASEP is emphatic on the contract costs, even though the ministry denies it is conclusive.
ASEP recommends that the Ministry of Energy immediately subject the EPC contracting process to competitive bidding than just sole sourcing them to Miscellaneous SA.
Now, away from that, President Akufo-Addo says African countries should develop measures to improve the capacity of the private sector to fight external shocks. Information Minister Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah, who spoke on behalf of the President at the launch of the National After Policy Framework and Action Plan in Accra, urged effective operationalization of the AFTA in Ghana to boost Ghana's economic growth.
At the extraordinary summit of African Union heads of state in Rwanda in March 2018, President Akufo-Addo joined 54 of his colleague heads of state to sign the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. The historic event signaled to the global community the African continent's readiness to usher in a new age to economic integration. Following this historic event in Kigali, Rwanda, the African Union Commission has been working to operationalize the African Continental Free Trade Area AfTA. The Information Minister Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah, who spoke on behalf of the President Akufo-Addo, said government is continuously positioning the private sector to trade under the AfTA agreement. He maintained African countries cannot overcome the current economic challenges occasioned by the incident of the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine war if it does not develop measures to improve the productive capacities of the private sector.
The National AfCFTA Policy Framework and Action Plan is geared towards the harmonization of relevant policies, programs, laws, and regulations to boost the productive capacities of the private sector in Ghana, particularly the MSMEs, to harness the full benefits of the AfCFTA. A successful implementation of the action plan will boost the capacities of the Ghanaian private sector to take advantage of market access opportunities in Africa to promote made in Ghana goods and services.
The Minister of Trade and Industry, Alan Kojo Sherman-Tin, said the policy framework will enhance Ghana's visibility as an investment destination in Africa and impact positively on the economic development agenda of the country. He, however, said this requires sustainable political commitment and leadership to encourage the rest of Africa to take bold and critical but difficult steps needed to bring prosperity to the continent.
Hosting the Secretariat here in Accra provides several opportunities for our country. It will enhance Ghana's visibility as an investment destination in Africa and impact positively on the economic development agenda of the country. This requires sustained political commitment and leadership to encourage the rest of Africa to take the bold, critical, but often very difficult steps needed to bring prosperity to our continent.
Now, staying on business, the former Finance Minister Seth Terkper says the nation has not been able to mobilize enough revenue due to its poor tax structure, which needs to be reviewed.
Yes, you get receipts and you have 5 or so, levies, in addition to VAT being listed, because most of them are collected as if they were VAT, only you don't get the credits and the refund. In tax administration, we say it is making the administration and compliance complex. Because you can imagine small businesses, the cost that they have to go, to reconfigure, their systems. Some of them, they have to write it because they don't even have money to set up those systems. That itself is an impediment. And that is the point at which, when they get fed up, because I'm in a shop with my son and my daughter after school, they come and help, and I have to waste time, writing, or use time writing all these levies and the rest. So I ask you, small restaurant, the same thing. Do you want a VAT receipt or not? I say no. That's avoid evasion. So for giving up my VAT invoice, I pay less and I don't pay the tax. And that's why, despite the number of levies that we have pointed out, it's not bringing revenue, as a percentage of GDP. Nominally, you can see it increasing, but it's not, to the extent that in the same budget media review, we are now reducing the estimates, which was too high anyway. So the direct consequence of that is what is called, evasion or avoidance. Evasion is an offense. Avoidance is where I see a loophole and I exploit it, which the courts have said, you can't penalize people for it. You can go and change the law if you think that, something is wrong with it.
That'll be all for business here on Newsnight. My name is Winston Taki. We'll be back with sports after this break. Keep watching. It's 48 past 19 hours GMT, the Ghanaian capital, Accra. My name is Phil John Quarter, and it's time for your sports. Let's go straight to the United Kingdom and focus on the Commonwealth Games. Ghana's Sean Safo and Benjamin Azamati have qualified for the semi-finals of the 100 meters.
Great start there from Jeremiah Razzie. Wow! He snatched half a metre off the field there out of the block. Coming back in now with that yellow vest of Azamati in lane 2. They're going to be 1 and 2. Azamati glancing around, easing back.
I stumbled, he didn't pick up a good race, so hopefully it was enough to qualify for the semi-final. We'll see what goes from there. Yeah, the 4 I won, but I'm sure I should qualify. Hopefully, yeah, I qualified. This says Q now, so I'm into the next round. So I'll go back and fix it and come back for the semi-final. I'm excited, but I got a lot to fix, so I need to fix it. So I'll come back and fix it for the semi-final.
Let's focus on arm wrestling now, because in an attempt to groom more talent from the sports, the AC Kids Championship will be launched here in Accra. Charles Osesi is the president of Arm Wrestling Federation here in Ghana.
HD Plus has decided to do kids arm wrestling, a mandate by the World Arm Wrestling Federation in 2019 to allow young men and women, or young boys and girls from the ages of 12 and above to play arm wrestling. We traveled to Africa, we came back. HD said, we believe in your brand, but we must grow with you. If we want to grow with you, the target should be young lads. HD Plus from SES Ghana is partnering Ghana Arm Wrestling Federation to play kids Arm Wrestling Championship. On the 27th, we would have the Accra event. We'll move to Ashanti region, and then we go to the Western region. We finally come back to have the national championship, where we'll bring all the winners from the various regions to come and battle for the national champions.
Now, with regards to the various categories, we will have 3 boys categories and then 2 girls categories. Now, to the winnings, we are looking at 200 participants from both the boys and girls categories. When you put them together, they are going to share a total of about 70,000 cedis.
All these other sports involves a lot of heavy lifting, equipment, cost, and so on. And if we want schools in Ghana, all schools in Ghana, to be able to participate, then arm wrestling fits very nicely. Now, when it comes to arm wrestling, we chose arm wrestling because it promotes diversity and encourages inclusion.
That's your sports. My name is Phil John Quarty. Up next, Showbiz with Isidua.
My name is Isidua Akumia, and it's time for entertainment news. Now, after a 2-year break due to COVID-19 public restrictions, the music, magic and comedy live show returned to give Ghanaians a memorable night of unforgettable experience. As expected, this year saw top performers headlining the trilogy show from Clemento Suarez, Obi Amponsa, Lexi, Kiddy and Nigeria's stand-up comedian Kenny Black entertaining the audience to pure magic.
This year's Music, Magic and Comedy Live truly showed how Ghanaians had missed Ghana's only trilogy show after the event took a break for 2 years due to COVID-19 public protocol restriction. It was a full night of danceable tunes, laughter and pure magic from talented performers in an all-star lineup. From Clemento Suarez, Obi Amponsa, Lexi, Artist of the Year Kiddy, Nigeria's Kenny Black, amongst others, the event indeed gave the audience an unforgettable night of experience. Stating how he felt on the night, comedian Kenny Black expressed his gratitude to how Ghanaians support him.
Ghana has always been a place I always love to come to because the reception here is amazing. The way you guys show, not just me, but the Nigerians in the diaspora's love is super amazing. So I felt good and I'm happy that it was nothing short of my expectation.
The Nigerian stand-up comedian was asked on what accounts to Nigeria leading the comedy industry in Africa. He revealed that not only are Nigerians united as a people, Nigerians also want to be happy.
I think it's the unity that we have, and Nigerians are naturally happy people. We want to be happy. We want to have every reason to be happy. So even when we are sad, even when some of us are depressed, even when we have a serious thing to attend to, you will definitely see a very big thing that has a sense of humor in it. During the lockdown, we made memes. We were angry about the NSAS. You know, we were angry we did the NSAS process. But in the middle of all of that, we had fun. So the comedy industry is big in Nigeria because people want to be happy. And the creativity that rolls around the comedians in Nigeria is out of this world. You never can tell what this comedian is going to say or how he's going to say it. So people always watch out for, how is this guy able to think about this? I won't get this on a normal day. So we're getting bigger, we're getting better. Brands are coming on board. International brands are coming on board to support us. And before you know it, some of us now have specials on Netflix. So before you know it, you get bigger than what it is.
Now, away from that, Ghanaian veteran actor and comedian Prince Yawson, famed in the movie industry as Wachi, has reportedly kicked the bucket. Reports confirmed by industry players suggest. Now, Wachi was reported to have died at a 37 military hospital earlier today, Tuesday, August 2nd, 2022. Meanwhile, the family of the actor is yet to confirm the sad news to the public. Before his death, Wachi featured in many movies in his life as an actor and retired as an ordained Reverend Minister in April 2021. Our deepest condolence to the family. Well, that's it for entertainment news. My name is Isiodua Akumia. Bridget?
Thank you, Isiodua. Next is international news.
Nigeria has added more than 10 million new voters to its election register, most of them youths, ahead of a presidential vote next February, the electoral agency has said. Voters in Nigeria will pick a new president to succeed Muhammadu Buhari. At least 4 people have died during protests over the cost of electricity in South African township, police officials have said. On Monday, residents angry at the high cost of basic services barricaded roads with burning ties and set ablaze a municipal building in Thembisa Township in northeast of the financial hub, Johannesburg. The Chinese military has been put on a high alert and will launch targeted military operations in response to Pelosi's visit to Taiwan, China's defense ministry said. Separately, the People's Liberation Army's Eastern Theater Command said it will conduct joint military operations near Taiwan starting Tuesday night and will test launch conventional missiles in the sea east of Taiwan.
And thank you so much for joining us. That will do for News Night here on Metro Television. We're back tomorrow. Good evening, Ghana, and other programs will continue here. So stay with Metro Television. My name is Bridget Oti.